do you say there, my fair ladies and music men? Alright, given that the last full video was a video essay, it's time for a top 10. And if that opening line, or the title or thumbnail all weren't enough to clue you in, well then.
You're a fool!
I'm just messing with you. But yeah, we're doing my top 10 movie musicals. I've already made it known that I love musicals both on stage and in film, and I figured this would be a great way to show my appreciation. But first, I've got to give those disclaimers. I'll start by saying that I'm purely doing movie musicals, so the live recordings of Hamilton or other shows are obviously out. I'm also sticking to live action movies, so some really great animated movies are also out. Now I do want to give an honorable mention to the 2004 Phantom of the Opera. I know it's got a lot of problems, but Phantom is my absolute favorite musical, and I still enjoy the movie for its gothic look and set design. And I don't really think it was too miscast like a lot of people do. Finally, I've got to do the cliched line that this is just my personal list and it's obviously not going to match anyone else's. Trust me, entries are going to go in an order that you wouldn't expect here. All that said, let's start off the list. Starting us off at number 10 is Les Miserables. I know, controversial pick to start off the list, and I'll admit that that's part of why it's at the bottom. Even so, Les Mis is actually my second favorite musical after Phantom, but it took me a while to appreciate it. Not the songs, they're all instantly lovable. I mean the story, or rather the multiple different stories going on at once. I actually think the movie did a good job of making all these different narratives easier to follow. There's a lot going on, and my personal favorite plot point is the dynamic between Valjean and Javert, and the inspector facing his moral compass being challenged. Anyway, Jackman is great.
On high.
Hathaway is out of this world.
There are dreams that cannot be.
Russell Crowe is...
Now prisoner 24601.
Yeah, ups and downs.
And the rest of the cast is solid. What can I say? I like this one. Next up at the number 9 spot is The Wizard of Oz.
You're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, we've gone from one entry that people will be mad is on the list at all, to another entry people will be mad is too low. Yeah, The Wizard of Oz is an immortal classic, and it had to make the list. All the songs are super fun.
If I were king of the forest.
And all the characters are memorable, the Scarecrow being the standout for me, and I know for many others. There's obviously a reason this one is a staple to so many of our childhoods. But that'll come up again in a later entry. But yeah, it's The Wizard of Oz, and it really stands the test of time. And in the number 8 spot is Little Shop of Horrors. So you all know I love classic monster movies, and God bless the folks who thought it was a good idea to take a low-budget Roger Corman schlockfest and turn it into a musical. The plot is absolutely ridiculous, and the comedy is just my brand of absurdity.
Just because you put a strange and interesting plant in the window, people don't suddenly...
Excuse me, I couldn't help noticing that strange and interesting plant.
Obviously, the cast is just about perfect, from our main characters to all the cameos as well. I especially have to give a lot of credit to Rick Moranis and Ellen Greene for being able to get some real emotion in the midst of all the comedy and madness that is this movie. And on top of the actors, the puppetry and practical effects are the real star of the show. It's funny, it's crazy, and it can even be touching. Great stuff here. And at number 7, we've got The Sound of Music.
The hills are alive.
Yes, I know. It's blasphemy to place this one so low on the list. Again, it's all ranked by my personal tastes. Much like The Wizard of Oz, I feel like there's not much I can say that hasn't been said here. The songs are all iconic.
Doe, a deer, a female deer.
And almost every scene is ingrained in our collective memory.
So long. Farewell. Auf Wiedersehen. Goodbye.
One element that helps this one stand apart is the story focusing on the art of music itself. The governess Maria teaches the Von Trapp children about music, and the songs she uses to do so serve as our entertainment throughout. Anyway, Julie Andrews and Christopher Plummer have amazing chemistry, and it's a real testament that this story could take a topic as heavy as World War II Germany and show the love of a family as they journey to escape. Number 6 is The Greatest Showman.
So tell me, do you wanna go?
Alright, so historical inaccuracies notwithstanding, this one is just a ton of fun, and if they ever develop a stage show version, I'll be first in line for tickets. Like I said before, Hugh Jackman did a great job as Jean Valjean, but I honestly think this role is way more his speed. He gets to belt out like we all know he wants to, and you can just look at his face and see what a great time he's having. You can't fake happiness like that. All around, this one feels like a throwback to the old school Rodgers and Hammerstein musicals, like The Sound of Music, with a more modern twist on the songs and score. Rather than just being a good narrative story, which I still think it achieves, it's more about being a big and lavish production that's supposed to hit you as a full experience, with the colors and dance moves mesmerizing you throughout. And at number 5, we've got
Jesus Christ, Superstar.
So one thing that I think often helps movie musicals is the decision to bring on the original stage cast rather than rely on Hollywood star power. The film adaptation of JC Superstar did the former, and it really shines for it. I feel like back in the day, movie musicals leaned more in this direction, or they'd at least dub over the famous actors with voice talent. Interestingly, the film starred Ted Neely, who actually played Jesus on stage longer than Jesus actually lived on Earth, along with Carl Anderson as Judas Iscariot, a fellow veteran cast member. Now obviously, this is the story of Jesus Christ, but I'll tell you now, you can enjoy it whether you're religious or not, and it honestly never feels cheap in any way. It's a great time, and these songs will stay with you for a good couple weeks after listening to them. Think biblical stories are boring? Give this movie a shot. My number 4 pick is Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street.
Pretty women, fascinating.
Once again, as a lover of gothic horror, you knew I had to get this one on the list. The whole thing is just oozing with that German expressionist goodness that is unmistakably Tim Burton. Now I'll be seeing a small local production of the stage show this October, but as of this video, I've yet to see the show live. I know they cut a lot of the songs short and actually took the lyrics out of the opening song entirely. But for my own sensibilities, they more than made up for it by cranking up that old school gothic atmosphere. So much of the movie just has this gray, drab quality to it, and it really makes that unnaturally bright red blood pop. Alright, I should probably talk about the fact that it's a musical. Well, the songs are all awesome.
It's that squire on the fire.
Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter don't have the biggest voices, but they work really well for a film adaptation. I try to make this one an October viewing every year, and I can't recommend it enough. And the number 3 bronze medal goes to Singin' in the Rain.
I'm singing in the rain.
Well, I know a lot of people will want my head for this one not being number 1. But I've still got a few surprises in store. But anyway, you know I love stories about film production, and I really love movies about movie making. And this one is probably my second favorite after Ed Wood. It's about Hollywood's transition from silent cinema to the sound era. Second movie I've talked about focusing on that topic. You know, if I had a nickel for every time I talked about this...
I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice, right?
Anyway, this one is absolutely fantastic. The song and dance numbers, I could watch on repeat and never get bored. In addition to the songs themselves being irresistibly catchy, I'm just mesmerized by the way the performers move, flawless in pretty much every step. I'm sure it took them countless takes, but it was worth it, baby. All in all, it's a great movie musical and a perfect celebration of old Hollywood. And at number 2, the silver medal goes to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
In a world of pure imagination.
Hey, remember when I mentioned family movies not being afraid to scare kids? But that's just one of the elements that make this movie so great. Another element that Willy Wonka shares with The Wizard of Oz is the sheer sense of whimsy throughout. I'd actually compare Dorothy stepping into Oz with all the families entering the chocolate factory as the quintessential magical moment. On top of that, every song is memorable.
'Cause I've got a golden ticket.
If you want to view paradise.
Well, maybe not every song.
Cheer up, Charlie.
Also, I normally don't expect much from child actors. Show up and say your lines, that's about what I expect from them. But each kid in this movie is on top of the game here. And of course, what's the number 1 thing that makes this movie so perfect? Gene Wilder. I mean, he's charming.
And this must be the Radiant Mrs. Group, just over there, dear lady.
He's psychotic.
Not a speck of light is showing, so the danger must be growing.
And he's hysterical.
Can we walk?
If the good Lord had intended us to walk, he wouldn't have invented roller skates.
It's rare that I can say this, but it truly is a perfect performance. And it helps make the movie almost perfect itself. And my number 1 pick is the Blues Brothers. I know most people don't think of this one as a movie musical, but there are song and dance numbers throughout, so I say it counts. And with how many music legends they cram into this thing, each sequence is just a stellar time. Some of my favorites include...
You better think about what you're trying to do to me, yeah. Think.
Bend over, let me see you shake your tail feather. Bend over, let me see you shake your tail feather. Stand by your man. Sweet home, she
On top of the music, the comedy kills me every single time, and it's probably the most quotable movie I can think of.
We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes, it's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
There's a documentary on my DVD of the movie, and Dan Aykroyd mentioned that he had a 300-page script at one point, so I can't imagine how many great gags got left out. Well, unless they weren't so great and got used in the sequel, but the less said about that, the better. Anyway, if you love classic music, big laughs, and just cool dude energy, you can't go wrong with this one. Not just my favorite movie musical, but easily in my top 5 favorite films. So what do you think? Do I have a pretty solid list here? Or am I an idiot who knows nothing about movie musicals? Share your thoughts and give me some of your favorite movie musicals in the comments. I've been Kenny Steps. Take it easy, and keep stepping into the movies.